Islamic State's March 22nd attack on Moscow's Crocus City Hall with some 130 killed was an intelligence failure. Hamas's October 7 rampage, pitching Israel into a war of survival, was an intelligence failure.
Boom! What's going on? It's terrorist shit, bro.
9/11 was an intelligence failure.
At 8:24 and 38 seconds, the following transmission came from American 11.
We have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We're returning to the airport.
The first two events sit starkly before the world, but not 9/11.
NORAD and the FAA were unprepared for the type of attacks launched against the United States on September 11, 2001. They struggled, under difficult circumstances, to improvise a homeland defense against an unprecedented challenge they had never encountered and had never trained to meet.
9/11, with its nearly 3,000 American deaths, became the shorthand for an attack that occurred more than 22 years ago. For most younger voters today, the event called 9/11 is a wholly historical event, not a lived experience.
Warning is not good enough without the structure to put it into action.
As presently configured, reads the 9/11 Commission's conclusion, the national security institutions of the U.S. government are still the institutions constructed to win the Cold War. The Commission goes on, the United States confronts a very different world today. Instead of facing a few dangerous adversaries, the United States confronts a number of less visible challenges that surpass the boundaries of traditional nation-states and call for quick, imaginative, and agile responses.
It will take us another 5 years to have the kind of clandestine service our country needs.
Can anyone seriously say we are prepared for the challenges we face today?
Another critical intersection we are monitoring is the relationship between government of Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, which is evolving as these four countries expand collaboration.
Not only are we in a Cold War with four traditional nation states, the U.S. mainland is beset almost weekly by, to quote the 9/11 Commission warning, challenges that surpass the boundaries of traditional nation states.
Are we aware of any of these smuggling organizations are run by or are conducted by people that have ties, for example, to ISIS or other terrorist organizations?
You know, there is a particular network that has, where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ISIS ties that we're very concerned about. Exactly what that network is up to is something that's, again, the subject of our current investigation.
Amid this global chaos, the United States political system has thrown up a 2024 presidential election pitting the hesitant, hobbled Joe Biden against an indeterminate variable Donald Trump.
They have a point. We need to get a lot more care into Gaza.
The UN Security Council's ceasefire resolution, with its Biden-ordered abstention, did not demand that Hamas release its hostages, including U.S. citizens.
This decision to abstain on this resolution is in keeping with the national security interests of the United States, and quite frankly, it's in keeping with the national security concerns of the Israeli people.
At the same time, Trump allies in Congress are holding up passage of military aid for Ukraine.
If you put a Ukraine bill on the floor and you haven't secured the border, there's going to be a problem.
From the Middle East to Eastern Europe to the United States southern border, the world is filling with little green men, proxies affiliated with the four nation states committed to winning a Cold War against the world's democracies.
The vast majority of the fentanyl that's killing Americans is, of course, coming from Mexico, and the vast majority of the precursors for that fentanyl is coming from China.
Iran is undeterred in support to the Houthis. They are undeterred in their support to Hezbollah, their support to Hamas.
Two countries are actively on that battlefield, Israel and Ukraine, who are fighting and dying for the rest of us. It's hard to blame anyone in the U.S. electorate who says they don't want to hear it, that we have problems at home or they're tired of endless wars. If only they, our enemies, were tired of endless wars. They are just getting started.
When our adversaries look at us, Stuart, here's what they see. Weakness in terms of our national leadership, politically dysfunctional, and we can see that in the Congress of the United States, lack of social cohesion, and then the part we're talking about here, a United States military who hasn't recovered from the 9/11 war and is not as good as it used to be, despite all the protestations that we are.
All roads today lead back to the U.S. presidential race. Mr. Biden is running around the country raising money, and Mr. Trump is sitting in courtrooms spending it. Right now, America's voters deserve to know what both men are going to do about the many threats faced by this nation.